my last review for the Hannibal films. I say that because I'm not doing Manhunter. I'm not going to do that stupid TV series that came out recently. This one's going to be for the prequel novel called Hannibal Rises. When I say that, yes, it's a prequel novel that shows Hannibal Lecter's origins. Well, first of all, when you're doing an origin of Hannibal Lecter, you're going to think back, and it's going to be him as a child and as a teenager. So you're going to have to accept that Anthony Hopkins is playing Hannibal. I know it's kind of hard to accept that because he's like the face of Hannibal. Like the guy who played him in Manhunter and this stupid joke that plays him on TV series, they have nothing on him. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal. It's his best role ever, and he's like the embodiment of it. He's literally Hannibal brought to life in that role. Like there's some parts that certain actors are born to play, you know, and that's Anthony Hopkins, you know, like Heath Ledger as Joker, or Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman, stuff like that. But Johnny Depp is Jack Sparrow. Well, this one, when it was released, it got, like, harsh reviews. Like, people just hated this film. They thought it was unnecessary, it was awful, it was trashy, anticlimactic in every way, the acting, everything. And everybody hated it. Like, a few people loved it, thought it was great. Their main complaints was, like I said, like I named the criticisms, but the main ones was the unnecessary part of it. Like it takes away the menace of Hannibal, and, you know, Anthony Hopkins doesn't play Hannibal. I mean, people understand that he's a teenager in this movie, Hannibal is, but, you know, it's kind of hard to let Anthony Hopkins go. I mean, it was hard enough letting Jodie Foster go. So this one, yeah, that was another complaint. Well, this movie is probably the only one of the rare prequels that I like other than X-Men Origins Wolverine or Neverland, which is a prequel to Peter Pan. Because this one, like, they made prequels for other horror villains like Halloween, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff, but, you know, just because they had crappy childhoods being abused, they don't turn into killers or anything. A lot of people have had bad childhoods, you know. They don't grow up to be killers or anything, you know. They try to be better people and stuff. And, like, all that. And this one, Hannibal's motive, I'm not going to say what it is, but it does him justice. Like, a lot of justice. Because, I mean, I don't blame him for what he did after what happened. Like, at all. It was just awful and downright evil. Especially since he was so little then. And psychologically, it's kind of accurate of a motive and a trauma. It could lead someone, it fits perfectly with his methods and personality that you see in Silence of the Lambs and the other films. And personally, I think this is the true follow-up to Silence of the Lambs, because, you know, Hannibal was just a mess, but it was different. And Red Dragon wasn't a mess, but it wasn't any different. This one, to me anyway, isn't a mess and isn't different. And, well, I mean, it is different. I'm sorry, it is different. And, like, Silence of the Lambs had Clarice, you know, showing, like, the positive outcomes of a traumatic experience. She goes on to be a better person as an FBI agent. This one shows the dark side of it, which was presented in Hannibal in Silence of the Lambs. And I think this truly fulfills the story better than the other films, and it brings everything full circle in a way. The violence in this it's reminiscent of the older ones, and the tone, although a bit different, like I said, it's kind of supposed to be different. It's not a crime thriller this time because it centers on Hannibal. He's the main character. But yeah, it's pretty good for what it is. I mean, it's not anything great, but it's good. You know, it's a good movie and all that stuff. It's more necessary to me than Red Dragon or Hannibal. As for the actor who plays Hannibal, I read a list of people who were considered. One of them was Hayden Christian, I think. I might have gotten his name wrong. He plays Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 2 and 3. He might have been good. I don't know. Tom Hardy was considered, I think, or talked about, at least rumored to be considered. He played Tuck in This Means War. He played the villain in Star Trek Nemesis. He even plays Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, the most recent Batman film. I think he might have been okay when he was younger, no doubt. And here's the kicker. One of the people who was screen tested for the part was Macaulay Culkin. And yes, I mean that kid from Home Alone. At first, I literally just fell out of my chair, rolling, ranting like a lunatic, laughing my tail off at the thought of that. Then I saw pictures of him as an adult. He might have been pretty good, actually, for a young Hannibal, anyway. Certainly nothing like Anthony Hopkins. But this new guy was pretty darn good, I'll admit. And the kicker is, I can't even remember his name, which actually makes it all the more better for him. I mean, he has the typical creepy but charming look, and his hair is slicked back and stuff. He looks like the Joker, and he doesn't even need makeup, which is basically what Hannibal is. He can show his true self and terrify people, you know? And this boy does some pretty darn good acting with the accent, and as a teenage Hannibal, basically. I mean, he played that part well. He wasn't really born to do the part like Anthony Hopkins was for the old Hannibal, but he does a pretty darn good job. He creeped me out on a few scenes, and he's likable a lot. I'm sure girls are probably going to like him too because of his hair and his face and his voice and all that blah blah. But do I recommend this one? Yes and no. Yes, as a follow-up, if you love Hannibal and love the menace of him, then don't watch this, because this will take away the eeriness of it and stuff. But just use y'all's opinions for that. And Donna Saunders, I've completed my reviews for Hannibal. I hope you like them. I enjoy doing them, and